Sweet, beautiful souls. Hello, welcome back. We are diving into a topic today that is 1000% necessary. If you are listening, if you're watching, your soul brought you here for a reason. Do not dismiss this. I did for many years, and I'm going to be sharing with you. This is something I've been wanting to share about for quite some time now, but I really wanted to get to a place of getting over and through this. Really, what transpired for me was a dark night of the soul that I experienced last year. And in that, one of the things that I am the most grateful for that has transpired thus far. It has been one of the most challenging things in my spiritual journey, and also the most liberating and rewarding once you are aware. And that is, my friends, talking about dark forces, absence of light beings that we don't want to acknowledge that they exist. We don't want to acknowledge that there is a very real thing, and yet we have to. And so today we're going to be diving into this topic, and I want to just assure you from the very beginning, there's nothing to be afraid of. And in fact, knowledge is power. Equipping yourself with this knowledge is going to help you in all aspects of your life. If you are a healer, if you're a practitioner, this is your responsibility to learn and to become aware of. Because here's the thing, there are a lot of practitioners who are very well-intentioned, but they are channeling and accessing dark light, false light, absence of light, beings, and energy. And we have to have this conversation because not a lot of people are talking about it. It doesn't sound fun. And I didn't want to talk about it for a long time too, so I get it. But if you are here, trust that your soul brought you here for a reason, and that the sooner we can have this conversation, the sooner that you are going to tap into your greatness. The sooner you are going to open up and access greater levels of your gifts, and the sooner you are going to set yourself free. Okay. So, absence of light beings, just like anything in our world, we live in a world where there is good and there is evil. Now, we can look out in the world and see, like, you don't have to have a magnifying glass to see that there are some not of the light things taking place, right? And so we need to begin to become aware that the same is true in the spirit realm. There are beings who are not here to serve God, source divine, in the spirit realm. And we have to really begin to understand this. A lot of people, and this is how I really got introduced to this, if you are doing everything in your life and it's just not adding up, you can't seem to heal even though you've tried every modality. You can't seem to get your business off the ground even though you've been trying everything. You can't seem to attract a partner even though you've done everything. Why is this the case? Oftentimes when I see this happen, it is because there is some type of entity attachment. There is some type of dark force energy that is with the person. And here's the thing, we can clear these, we can release these, but we have to begin to work with someone who has this awareness and knowledge, and to fortify ourselves and know how to protect ourselves from this. Because no one taught me this when I was first starting out in this realm. It was like you can channel, and it was like, okay, let's start channeling. But it's like no one taught you we need to be conscious of who we're channeling. And then from there, all of these other things of like, how do we protect ourselves in the world from other people who have negative attachments? And my friends, if you are a sensitive being, this is going to save you. This is going to save you. And this is why we have to have this conversation. So let's go back to last year, where I had a dark night of the soul. Because even though I've been aware and heard about evil, dark forces and these things. I never really like paid attention to it. I never really studied it. And last year I studied it. I immersed myself into it. I know, very Scorpio of me, but I had to. I had to. And it really made me question and re-evaluate everything that I've learned. And that's herein lies the dark night of the soul. When you start to question everything that you have learned, because here's the thing that a lot of people will tell you. A lot of the spiritual teachers tell you it's your consciousness. If you just direct your consciousness towards light, there's light. And so if you believe in the evil and the darkness, then you're giving that power and that exists. That, my friends, would be a dark force infiltration ideology and belief. Because these absence of light beings, they don't want you to give them power. They don't want you to be aware of them, because then you are much easier to control and manipulate and receive energy from. Think of yourself, and here's the thing: the brighter your light, the greater your light, the more you expand your consciousness and become a healer and a beacon of light and are serving humanity, the greater prey you are for dark force beings. Because how do dark force beings survive? Dark force beings survive. We all need light to survive. We all need light to survive. We're receiving light through food, through the sun. We need light to survive. We are also receiving light from God Source Divine. We are an extension of God Source Divine. Now, absence of light beings have cut off from source. They've cut off from source energy. And so they have to get energy from light beings, from humans. And what better place than humans who are full of light, who are radiating light, who are emitting a high frequency? Those are the people that they want. Okay? And so as you raise your consciousness, you become a greater predator for absence of light beings. Now, is this a reason to not raise your consciousness? Absolutely not, because you were here, you were listening, you were watching right here, right now, and you're going to equip yourself with the wisdom and the tools to understand how to protect yourself from this. And this also is not just about shielding yourself. They don't care about that stuff. They also don't care about just Palo Santo and sage. This is not how you get rid of them, okay? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, my friends. But can you imagine? Can you just imagine for a moment a physical human who has much less capabilities than someone who is in spirit form? Well, different capabilities, but let's imagine for a moment. Someone wants to commit a very bad act, and you just sage in Palo Santo. Do you think they're going to just say, oh, whew, okay, I'm leaving, goodbye? I'm sorry, no. I'm so sorry. I still use Palo Santo, don't get me wrong, but I'm not doing that in the same sense of all of the negative energy is gone. No, I'm so sorry. This is so also I should have prefaced this with some trigger warnings. This is going to trigger you. And if it does, beautiful. Because my job is not to make you just happy and feel good all the time. A lot of my work does that, but I also need to get you to where your soul is desiring you. I don't need to get you there, but if you want to get there, I would love to help you get to where your soul would love to have you at a higher consciousness, because we need people who are channeling, transmitting, emitting, being conduits of God, source, divine. That is my only intention and goal these days, is to be a conduit of God's love, of God's light. And if you have dark forces on you, entities on you, and are engaging with content that is dark force, it is going to be much more challenging. So some symptoms also, like I mentioned a few, but I want to just share a few symptoms that can be dark force related. So if you're like feeling like you're doing everything and you're not getting anywhere, this can be dark force related. But another big one is if you are having severe depression, if you are having suicidal thoughts, this is often depression. People who are committing absolutely horrendously terrible crimes, this is often dark forces. Okay. Dark forces entities have come into the consciousness of these beings, of people, and are telling you that your life is not worth living, are telling you that committing this, not you, but telling people that committing this crime is a good idea. When you hear these murderers talk, there is not God in their eyes. There is something else that has taken over them. And so am I saying to give these people a pass? Like, absolutely not. But we have to begin to understand this because it's so odd. It's so odd that the US is really like one of the only cultures and countries that we don't talk about this. Like, it's so taboo. It's so fringe. It's so like, no, if I'm a Christian, like God, like I just, it doesn't exist. Like, Christians believe in the devil, but they don't really understand all the ways in which the devil works. And they don't understand that the devil can work in very sneaky ways and that dark forces can be in things that appear to be very light. And that is where I had my dark night of the soul last year, is when I began to question everything that I had ever learned from every teacher and everything in my world. Flipped it all upside down. Flipped it all upside down. Many of you know, I spent many years when in my like late teens and early 20s with an eating disorder. That was a catalyst in my growth and healing and journey. And also a lot of that was dark force run and driven. A voice in my mind telling me that I will never be good enough unless I lose more weight, restrict more, and then I will finally be XYZ. When I was admitted to treatment, did they talk about any of this? No. It was just like, oh, your mom and dad, they did it to you, they caused it to you, and this is why our system is needs some support. Okay. Because people who are really struggling with mental illness, it is not just, let's talk about how bad your parents were. It is, we have to look back generationally, we have to look at ancestrally, and we have to look at dark forces, and we have to look at these deeper mechanics that are fueling it all. Now, here's the thing. People are going, I'm sure that my mind started to question and wonder, but like, what about our biology? What about our physiology? What about hormones? What about all of these things? What's even deeper than all of those things? Spirit, energy. And so just as we have to have a energetic container for the physical to express, we have to have a physical container for the energetic to express. We have to have both. We are in the third dimension. We are physical, we are energetic, and we're equal parts of both in the third dimension. And so we have to pay attention to both. It is a 50-50 game. But when we work with the energetics, we are often going to see the physical begin to change quite quickly. This is why just working with the physical, you're not going to get the results you want as fast and as satisfactory. Okay. So I began to realize that especially as a highly sensitive person, I was just picking up on people's energy before I learned how to manage my own energy because I was not fully in my body. And this is what happened. This is my journey with dark forces, was not being in my body because of with everything that transpired with an eating disorder. That gave space for dark force energy. And then that began to transpire into health issues that it was like I could have tried everything for. But my spirit, my soul knew how important this was for me. This is why literally I've had so many sessions helping people with dark forces. My very first session as a hypnotherapist was essentially an exorcism. Now, at the time, did I know what I was doing? No, but I called in my guides and I had to learn. My spirit and my soul were like, you need to understand this realm. You need to understand what's going on in this realm. You need to understand. They're not going to teach you this becoming a hypnotherapist, but you need to learn this. And so I had to begin my training in this. I had to begin to understand this realm. I had to begin to understand how dark forces work, not so that I could be scared, not so that I could give my power away to them, but so that I can equip myself with the tools necessary to help myself and others with this wisdom. Because, my friend, you are a child of God. You are a child of the high source of light, love, and truth. And nothing is more powerful than that. No dark force. But we have to reconnect to that power and we have to extinguish the dark forces. Okay. Now, here's the thing also. I'm so sorry to tell you this too. Another really big places where dark forces thrive is group events. So if you are not working with someone who is setting a powerful grid and container of protection, it's coming through. Plant medicine, another big thing. If you are not working with shamans and healers who have an awareness of this, I know people who have done ayahuasca and who have done mushrooms and these things, and they think that they probably do have great experiences, but many people also get entity attachments because you are blowing yourself open to a spirit world and you don't know in that state what you are inviting in. And here's the thing that we have to talk about. Many things we are unknowingly consenting to are inviting in dark forces. Unknown, and I get this. We don't understand all the rules to the game when we come in here, but you're learning them now. There are many things in the government that we also consent to. Like literally, my friends getting a driver's license, you are consenting to so many things that you don't even know. Getting like buying a house, you're consenting to things that you don't even know. Start studying natural law and you will start to see all of the wild things that we consented to by simply having a birth certificate. That you are owned by the government if you have a birth certificate. So this whole world. And so just as there are all of these things that we weren't taught about the physical world, there were all of these things that we weren't taught about the spiritual and energetic world. For instance, allowing someone to give you a reading. You are opening yourselves up to their energy and you don't know, you need to be very clear who you are working with. I've always been very particular about who I work with, and now I am like extremely particular and picky because we are allowing someone to access our energy, give us energy. Who are you are receiving energy healing from? You don't know what energy they're bringing through. You need to begin to ask these questions. You need to begin to tune into this, and you need to begin to be aware of this. This is why I always say developing your intuition is so important. Learning about dark forces is so important. And this is going to help you learn about dark forces because you're going to begin to know and sense and see, oh, that's off. It doesn't mean you just run away from it. It means that you know how to equip yourself and protect yourself and fortify yourself. And if you get a dark force, you're going to know then how to release it. You can do this on your own. Some people say that you need like 6 months to a year working with an experienced shaman. You don't. I will put that out there right now. You don't. You're a child of source. The source needs 6 months to a year to extinguish. No. Once we learn, we can do it like that. Okay. But it really begins with becoming aware. And also, we have to begin to become aware of why they're coming in the first place. What was leaky in our energy to allow them in the first place? What lessons are we learning? What bleed through is happening in the spirit realm and in our realm? Sometimes these beings come from past lives because there was unfinished business. And so we can complete this with them. We can complete the contract with these beings so that we can end this. But we have to understand this. And so this is why just saying leave goodbye, it's like, but no, I came for a reason. Like, we have something to work through. Okay. And so when we begin to see dark forces like this, it's like they're not really like this scary thing. It's really just an opportunity for us to understand. Like, I want you to think of dark forces as like they're just like the bully who doesn't have any friends. They're the bully who doesn't have any friends, and you are far more powerful than them. Okay. Okay. So if you feel like you've had any of these symptoms, depression, suicidal thoughts, or you know someone, feel like you've done anything and everything, also insatiable cravings. And I'm talking about like binge eating, where you literally feel like you can't stop and you are never satiated. Like, especially with sweets, where it's like something comes over you and you could eat so much and it's like you can't feel that craving, that desire, that yearning within you. That is also often dark forces. It's so important. And I think that we're coming into a time, there's a lot transpiring in our world, and a lot of the darkness is being brought to the light. Depending on when you're watching this, it's like red dye 40 was just like the government just said that this is toxic, but it's like I went back and forth in my mind with this whole thing of like I'm happy we're going in the right direction, but yet this is where we're at. Like, we're still so far away, right? And so there's so much dark force energy in our world. The fact that we have poison in our food, the fact that we have poison being dumped into the sky, the fact that we have natural disasters that make no sense. And if you're listening, I say natural in quotes. The fact that we have all of these things that's transpiring, it doesn't mean that we like point the fingers and blame and all of this stuff. It means that we have an opportunity to pierce through the darkness, because as we recognize darkness and we begin to recognize darkness as a collective, we now begin to take our power back, because when more and more people wake up to the fact of what is transpiring, now they begin to lose their power. So this first, though, begins with you becoming a clear conduit and channel. And I realized this is why I had to have my dark night of the soul, is because if I'm going to help people, I realized I had to fully equip myself to only give people the highest truth, to radiate out the highest truth, and to only be a conduit of God's source love. He did not want to ever unknowingly bring forth any dark energy into someone's life. And so this is a responsibility we have. And a lot of people just think that they're channeling Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene and Jesus, and they've learned nothing about dark forces. And I'm so sorry, my friends, but if you are asking guides, ancestors, Jesus, come tell me. Someone come tell me. I invite, oh my goodness, and I'm seeing all of these circles. We invite in all of our ancestors. We invite in all of our, please do not do that until you understand dark forces. Do not do that. We open this space and we call in our ancestors and our guides and all of these people. We don't No, you don't know all of your ancestors. You don't know all of your guides. You don't know all of these beings. And while there are many benevolent beings, there are many non-benevolent beings. For every light being that there is also a dark absence of light being. There is a dark Mother Mary. I know it's wild to imagine. But just as there is a light version, there is a dark version. And so as you call out, if you are unaware, and so this is when it becomes really important to begin to tune into your psychic senses and your psychic knowing in your way of working with angels and guides and with your intuition, really. Because if you're getting messages, you have to begin to discern how it feels in your body, how it feels when it comes through. And I'll never forget, my gosh, years ago, I received connection with an we'll just say a being. We'll just say a being. And they asked me if I would give them permission to help me with something in my life. And it was so wild because this was before I didn't know about any of, again, aware, no knowledge though about dark forces. And I remember instantly in that moment being like, I don't know what I'm consenting to. And I said no. And thank goodness I am so glad that I trusted myself enough to know, to say no. This is where these contracts form with these beings because people just think, oh, this being wants to help me. Like, of course, I like, please come help me. If we cry out begging for help, and if we ask and consent to these beings to help us, we are binding ourselves in these contracts unknowingly. Can we break these? Absolutely. So like none of this is to put you in fear. And again, I want to remind you, knowledge is power. The more that you understand this, the more that you have this awareness, the more that you have this understanding, the more that you fortify yourself with this truth, the more powerful you become and the more you take your power back. And so this is really just the intro to the intro of dark forces. But because of everything that I've ever talked about, we needed to have this conversation. And I'm happy to talk about this more. Again, this was like, it was such a challenging thing for me that I didn't want to accept for a long time. And just last week, I had a sweet dear friend reach out to me telling me about a psychic attack that she had where she was sick for weeks, like so violently sick for weeks because of a psychic attack from someone else. And this woman, there was a curse, there was a something that was placed upon her from this woman. And she said, I don't understand. Like, I don't want to believe that people are bad. And I said, I know, I get it. Because your heart is so big and your heart is so loving. And so we don't want to believe that this could exist, but it does. It does. And this is where we really take a big leap and a big step from just being a healer to now being a conduit of God and a conduit of love and truth. Because there's a big difference. Healer can just try and spew healing to anyone. A conduit of God knows that you are healed and that you are only going to transmit the highest frequency of truth and love. And that is not always going to be easy. It's not always going to be the information that just feels all warm and fuzzy, like it's just all love and light. But it is the information, it is the energy, and it is the transmission that will fortify you to live a life greater than you could ever imagine and to help others do the same. And to really elevate our consciousness and our collective consciousness and our awareness to the place where we are going to this new earth that we are birthing. But we have to begin here. We have to begin with ourselves before we try and make everyone understand this and everyone know this. Starts with us fortifying and protecting ourselves, equipping ourselves. And then when we have our mask on and I don't like the mask, when we have our life jacket on, not a fan of masks. When we have our safety jacket on, then we can put the safety jacket on others. Right? And so put your own safety jacket on, learn, work with someone who has this awareness. If you are working with someone and they don't have any awareness of dark forces and absence of light beings, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I would strongly consider incorporating that into your life. Working with someone who has this awareness, who has this skill set to work with and release and complete contracts with dark forces. When I learned how to do this, my work expanded, my work grew, my work strengthened in the capacity in which I was able to help people. Because the reality is it's everywhere. And if you are a light being, the chances of you experiencing dark forces in your life, I'm gonna put it this way. The chances you don't are about 2%. About 2%. If you are a light being and you are elevating your consciousness and you are on the trajectory to elevating your consciousness and you care about elevating your consciousness, the chances that you don't encounter some type of dark forces and entity and all of this stuff in your journey is about less than 2%. Okay? So beautiful. We know this is inevitable then. So I might as well equip myself. I might as well work with someone who's aware of this. And I might as well get the tools and wisdom and release these from my field, release these from my consciousness, release these from my body so that I can now be the highest conduit of God's source love. Oh, and in the meantime, I'll feel better. Everything will get better in my life. Just as a side effect. Okay. So my friends, please, if you do feel like, if you're like listening to this and you are like, oh my gosh, like this feels like truth in my body that I'm experiencing this right now, or I know someone who is, please reach out. I am absolutely more than happy to see if we would be a good fit or point you in a direction of someone who I think would better help you. This is something I started offering a while back. Like, I'm not here to tell you you need to work with me. You don't. If you want to, I would love to amplify and expand your life and help you with anything that you want to create and bring forth in your life. But I'm only willing to work with those who I believe we're a good energetic match and who are open to this level and caliber of work. And so if people are still really wanting to believe that it is only love and light and that they don't want to take responsibility for who and everything that they're creating in their lives, then it's not a match. But I'm more than happy to refer people and we can tune in and see if it would be a good exchange and really help and support you if this is something that you are struggling with. Because, oh my gosh, my friends, like as someone who dealt with it for years and years, you don't need to suffer and be under this dark cloud for any longer. It's one of those things where it's like everything just feels like it goes wrong, and then it's like you feels like you start to come out of it and you feel like you start to like, oh I think I'm coming out of this funk that I've been in, and then you get swallowed up again. That's what dark forces do in your life. Okay, so please reach out if you are struggling with that, and we can help fortify you and strengthen you and give you the tools specific for you, perfectly tailored for you, because we all came into this lifetime with the exact tools to strengthen and fortify us. And knowledge is power. Wisdom is power with this. And so as you know this, everything gets to get better after knowing this. Okay? Everything. Thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning in. I know this was not the lightest of listens, but I'm so proud of you. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your energetic contribution, because it shows that you care about raising the collective consciousness, because you're taking responsibility for your own light and for your own well-being. And that has a ripple effect on everyone. So everything is below. All of my resources, all of my, anything that you could need from me, all of my sessions. You can also email me. We can have a little chit chat, see if we'd be a good fit. And with that, my loves, I am sending you all infinite love and light.